People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, I think Arteta is doing a good job, but we need to allow him a bit, let him work, because naturally, as a club and as a manager, we're going to go through good periods, we're going to go through tough periods. He's going to obviously hit a brick wall. Even if he's a success here, you look at Sir Alex Ferguson, he won how many titles and whatnot, people, and more or less won the war against all his adversaries, but there was times he got it wrong. He had to reinvent. You look at 98, they lost out to Arsenal, he had to go again in 99. The City thing towards the end of Ferguson's role, he had to kind of reinvent what he was doing. And just as a manager, even if you're being completely opposed in terms of competition, you have to reinvent yourself. You don't know yourself. Squads typically work in 3 or 4 years. So if we take this squad where we've got some young players and whatnot, in the next 3 or 4 years, you want to see Emile Smith-Rowe, Saka, Nelson, Martinelli, all of these players go from young players to fairly consistent difference makers or competent squad players of sorts. Obviously, you would like to see Pepe, Torreira, Gendouzi as well, these sort of players come into their role as well. But even if that happened, you'd have to reinvent the squad at a point. I'm thinking a bit too ahead, but my point is just allow the guy in it, myself included. Now, one thing I love about Arteta is he says the right things to fans. He gets it from fans. Clearly, the players want to work with him. His communication skills and man management are admirable so far in his early tenure as Arsenal manager. But when it comes down to it, I like his ability to improve players. Now, the key word, improve. I think he's improved players, but at the end of the day, he's only been here 3-4 games, and that's not 3-4 years. If they play well now, but they're crap the rest of his tenure here, what was that say? I don't think that's the case, but that's just me making a point. And you look at how Xhaka's playing, hopefully as he starts as he means to go on, because Xhaka divides opinion a lot, and hopefully he can, in his 3 years or 4 years he's been here, he can have a real season where he becomes someone everyone unanimously agrees is a good footballer. Torreira and him, what I like about him is they're not running around like headless chickens. They're in specific areas of the field and they're working a bit more in the pivot. And I guess it kind of got me to ask you, of course, we could list all the players we want to improve. In fact, there's not one player, really and truly, who I believe doesn't necessarily need to improve in that Arsenal side, beyond the obvious. Obviously, probably Aubameyang and Leno. Well, Leno, in my opinion, needs to improve, and Aubameyang can, but he's probably the most competent at his role. So it's not really the smartest of questions to ask you guys, but I was wondering, who would you guys want to specifically improve? Because here I've tried to whittle it down to a couple of names, people, and obviously I've said I want Xhaka and Torreira to keep improving and whatnot, and I actually want all the midfielders to improve, because if Torreira's not there, then how are we going to defend? Obviously, as a team, we're defending better, but if Torreira's not in his role, who else can do that role? If we're not going to do that specific role, can we do something else where our midfielders are switched on to say, okay, someone might not be a number 6 screening in front of the defence per se, but our pivot is always going to be there to help our defence and just be switched on defensively. The first one that went to my head is Gendouzi. Now, Gendouzi, let's not forget, he's had a decent season. He's going through a tough period now. He's lost form. But I've got a lot of time for Gendouzi. He's 20-odd years of age. He's showed more courage, determination and consistency since he's been here than a lot more of the experienced players. Of course, right now, he deserves to be out the side because of loss of form and Xhaka and Torreira are playing well. He does frustrate me with a lot of things. I think he can be better in duels. I think he really needs to improve defensively. He gives away dumb fouls. I think his positioning can improve, but I like his bravery. I think he's got ability on the ball that can come out a bit more with a positive coach like Arteta. You look at the goal he set up against Spurs for Aubameyang, he's got that in his locker, and I want to see. It's nice to see Xhaka and Torreira, they're the ones playing above everything. They're a bit more braver on the ball. Like Xhaka's got that pass in his locker, for whatever you say. He's trying it a bit more. Torreira's passing might not be as expansive consistently because of the role he's doing, but he's trying to get out his feet and play a bit more positive. The whole team are, and I think a bit of that can come out of Gendouzi. Obviously, specifically, I want Gendouzi to be able to rotate and put pressure on Xhaka and Torreira to get a place in that side, to get it. Because I think we need another midfielder. But if we have 4 competent options, we're going to be a good team in it. And obviously, I want Gendouzi to define what position he is. Is he a box-to-box midfielder? Is he deep lying? He's not a cam, but is he a cam? I want him to, work with him, and specifically what sort of midfielder is he going to be? Can we lock down one central role first and foremost? Then obviously, as his ability and consistency and competency improves, we look to introduce other roles so he can be a multifunctional midfielder. I would like him to be able to read situations, especially in the defensive phase, a bit better. More specifically, he's not alone. It's not just his fault, because there's Saka, there's Maitland-Niles. Our centre-halves are at 6s and 7s. In fact, the whole team got caught high up the field for the second Chelsea goal. We can say one defender should have dropped off and one should have engaged, which is true. A couple coaches I was speaking to, it's not Leno's fault, but Leno could have done better in that phase. The fullbacks are nowhere to be seen. And obviously, Gendouzi or someone potentially in the build-up could make a tactical foul at some point. So it's not just him alone, but you see what I'm getting at? He can read situations a bit better. As a team we can, but I'm speaking about Gendouzi specifically. So I'd like to see that. I'd say Reece Nelson as well. I think Arteta sees something in Nelson. I think he really likes him. He's shown faith in him, starting him in big games and whatnot. I think with Nelson, the ability is there, but similar to Chelsea's Callum Hudson-Odoi, the lack of experience that they genuinely have is telling. For me, Nelson's a good player, but I think he needs to think a bit quicker. I think he needs to read situations a bit better. I think his body positioning when he's trying to receive a ball is not necessarily the best. So can he make space better for himself? Can he read screen situations and scenarios before it's happened and be a bit more proactive? So I'd like to see that. Would like to see Nelson's confidence stay high and stuff, because you saw a dramatic reaction in the game against United where he's genuinely smiling when he's taking man, not United, Chelsea, where he's taking man on, which the game before that he seemed a bit down in the dumps after the game. So I'd say it's a confidence thing. Obviously the positions you take up to get goals and assists, I think Nelson can. I'm not here to say Nelson's going to be England and Arsenal megastar, Jadon Sancho-ish and all these things. I just believe Reece Nelson can be a competent player for the Arsenal team, and I think he's got a future here. Whether he wants to be a squad player, regular player, difference maker, is all down to him and hard work. But I just believe he can be a decent player, and he's someone I believe with Saka, with Martinelli, with Pepe. Obviously, they can all develop into decent options. I think Martinelli can improve, but he seems to be hitting the ground running. I think Nelson needs more of an arm around him, sort of thing. And I think Nelson can do that, but it's mainly how he receives the ball and sometimes his final ball. I'd say him as well. I'd also actually say to you guys as well, it's a bit of a weird one, but Ceballos, in a basis of, I know he's on paper, he's not here longer than the 5-6 months he's got left on his deal, but what I mean by that is, can we finally see, at least to the end of the season, a bit of Ceballos in that? We've seen patches, we all know he's good technically, but has the loan spell necessarily been a success for him or us? No, because it's not. We're not sitting here halfway through the season, and he's had injuries and whatnot, and saying, boy, Real Madrid was silly to let him go. We're not seeing no rumours of Madrid recalling him early or whatever, because that would have been the best case scenario, people, for him. He comes here, he makes Madrid question whose decision it was to sell him. He's someone they speak about recalling, similar to Odegaard. They're not going to, but in January or the summer, they think about how he's going to be utilised in their plans. And obviously, you've got the Euros, Spain's Euros, which he probably still will go and be a part of. But I don't know that to be true. I'm just going on the basis of he's typically selected for Spanish duty. But can we get something out of him? Is he a 10? Is he a number 8 for us? How are we going to use him? Can we marry him with Mesut Ozil and do some good stuff on the football field? Can he be used in place of Mesut Ozil? Can he be used in the pivot where Torreira and Xhaka? Can they potentially make a midfield trio? Or do you get it? Different combinations. I'd like to see a bit of Ceballos before he returns back. And finally, I'd say Hector Bellerin, purely because I believe Bellerin's still got a bit about him. I believe if you say the name Hector Bellerin, certain people have written him off in the sense that they don't think he's going to improve. They think he's fallen off a lot. Certain people think he does. And I want to be able to, I don't know, man. I see Trent Arnold and all these man there, and I see what they're doing is positive. I don't think Bellerin will ever be better than Trent Arnold, but I want to be able to be shameless and scream he's the best right back in the Prem and things like that. At a point he never was, but at a point we had more confidence saying that now he's not, really and truly. And I'm not going to lie, if it wasn't Hector Bellerin, he didn't come from Arsenal's academy in Barcelona, and he might have been an English name. I'm not saying anything sinister with that, but I do think people would have looked at him a bit more. Like, if it wasn't Hector Bellerin, if it was I don't know, Ben Taylor or John Smith in the same scenario, I think people will be looking at Bellerin with a bit more scrutiny. Apologies for touching my nose. I'm a big fan of Hector Bellerin, big fan. I think he can be one of them players that is consistent here and always on the team sheet, but I want to see a bit more from Bellerin. I want to see him get some goals in this, well, not goals really, but assists in the final third, and just be a real option in the final third, man. Like, you see all the good attacking players at Liverpool, and then they've got Robertson and Trent equally as comfortable in the final third as well. I want to see a bit of that in Bellerin. I want to see a bit of consistency. I want to see Bellerin stay a bit fit. Obviously, I want to see him improve in several incidences defensively. Hector Bellerin would probably be, out of everybody, the biggest one for me, because I think, I wouldn't say he's got the most to prove, but I'd say there's a lot of question marks over him. For whatever you say about Gendouzi and Nelson, people will either say they're not ready or overrated, but most people will concede that they're young players and whatnot. I think for Bellerin, there's a lot less patience and stuff, and I'd like to see him have a quality career. He's had a good career at Arsenal, but I want to see him go to the next level. I want to see him really... Again, whether he can get in the Spain squad is something only down to him, but I want to be screaming, why ain't he in the Spain squad? Why ain't you... Do you see what I'm saying? Because right now he's linked with Barcelona. People probably be, when them bids were apparently true with Barcelona, 50-odd million, people probably looking at Arsenal like you should have took the money and ran. Barcelona, people looking at them like they probably dodged a bullet. And I mean, right now, as much as I like Bellerin, at this moment in time, if they were to make a swap deal or offer us something and we're able to get Semedo, who I'm a big fan of, I think he's very underrated in world football at right back, I would have no qualms letting Bellerin go. And as much as I like him, I want it to be a thing where I'm questioning, am I really deluded for saying that sort of stuff? But I'm sure you get where I'm going with that. On that note, I've got nothing more to add to you guys. So I'd like to say it's Monday morning where I am at this moment, David. So good Monday morning. I know a lot of you are starting back work for 2020. Let's accomplish our goals. Let's have, you know, a year to remember of sorts, people. And do our thing. And what I like as well, to be fair, I'm not going to necessarily just praise Arteta for this, because prior to him we had one of the best ratios from scoring from set pieces, and at a point under Emery we did improve defensively at set pieces, so I don't want to give with one, take with the other. But it's lovely to see it appears defensively and offensively there's a bit more an emphasis in set pieces. And when you hear that the boys on the morning of the game against United, we did a quick little drill in relation to defending and attacking set pieces at the Emirates, and ironically we scored from one, well, two technically, forgive me if I'm wrong, because what, did we score from one or two? No, it was, I'm thinking of the Chelsea game. We scored in the Chelsea game, and I'm thinking of when Socrates scored against United. We never scored. It was one in consecutive games sort of thing, people. But it's lovely to see that, man, and I'm happy to see people are buying into Arteta, what he's trying to do, and statistically it's looking like such. But on that note, I need to get on the train. People, good morning. I'm out. DG.